Hey everyone, and welcome to the Coach's Corner podcast presented by On Track College Advising. I'm your host, Ryan Moore, and today we are joined by Nicole Kramer, head cross country coach at Calvin University, the Calvin University Knights. Calvin's a school rich in cross country tradition, and they have a ton of success winning the MIAA year after year and competing at the national level as well. This is a program that is actually near and dear to me as I'm an alum of Calvin University, formerly Calvin College, and was a member of the track and field programs while I was there in school. Nicole, thanks so much for being here today. I'm excited to have you on with us.
Thanks for inviting me, Ryan. It's always great to talk with a fellow alum, especially.
Absolutely. So I've gotten to know you a little bit over the years of various track meets and different airport run-ins that we've had, but I've never spent time with you at Calvin as a student athlete. Can you give me a little bit about your background from athlete to coach and share what gets you excited to go to work every day at your alma mater?
Yeah, so I arrived at Calvin in the fall of 2000, had a challenging freshman year, just with all the change and thinking that I was better as an athlete than I actually was at the time. I had kind of a crazy college search leading up to that my senior year. I had looked at a range of Division I, Big Ten type schools, thinking that I could possibly run at them, which my high school coach always had suggested that I was a great D3 fit type of runner, but didn't really want to listen to that until I realized he was right when I landed on Calvin. So yeah, love the people at Calvin, love the faith aspects and the community that comes with that. And yeah, my first couple years as a student athlete here just grew so much as a person, certainly as an athlete, but yeah, really just was able to take hold of what a team that, prioritized, that Christian community and that family atmosphere. I had great direction from the coaches who were on staff at the time, one of whom who is still on my staff now, who was one of my coaches, which is pretty neat. But yeah, Brian Deemer and Al Hoekstra, Nancy Meyer, Nancy was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the USTF-CCCA Hall of Fame a couple years ago. And, a lot of these coaches who just had a major impact on me from a running standpoint, but more importantly, from a personal standpoint. And that's really where I started to think about what college coaching may look like for me. Sometime during sometimes during my sophomore year, is kind of when I started thinking of like, what do I want to do with this sport management, business communication degree that I'm pursuing? Like, I love school, was kind of a perfectionist. I like to say that now I'm a recovering perfectionist, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. Yeah, so just learned a lot throughout my 4 years here, had some incredible team moments and experiences. Just being a part of, all the MIAA titles was certainly special, but at the time, the conference wasn't nearly as strong as it is now, but it still has been great to be part of that championship atmosphere and community. For us at the time, it was more about like, all right, what kind of damage can we do on the national scene?
Yeah.
So at our, cross-country regional meets and national meets, and then outdoor track as well. Yeah, we were always trying to send people as individuals, but then, on a broader scale in cross country, really, view that team as a whole community. It wasn't just about those 7 on the line that day. It was about the entire culture and the entire program, the alums that came before us, and just, yeah, running for something bigger than yourself. So certainly, running for the Lord, and just trying to be active in our faith life, but yeah, just relying on teammates to get us through the hard workouts and the big races was just a huge part of that experience. And we felt like it was very intertwined with that, championship culture that we had. So with all of those experiences, you fast forward 14 years from when I graduated, actually a couple more than that. Man, I don't get younger, right? I'm just getting older. But yeah, 14 years of coaching later, yeah, it's very full circle to me. It's so special to be back here where kind of this dream all began. Coaching is an awesome career path. Every single day is different. It's definitely challenging at times, but yeah, the ability to work with student athletes and just be able to see the growth, from start to finish. I'm starting my 4th year here at Calvin. So yeah, thinking about this senior class right now that, was just finishing their junior class, about to be seniors, just seeing all the growth and all the change that they've adapted to over the last, 3-4 years has been really, really cool to see. And I'm really excited for this upcoming year. We just had 20 freshmen move in yesterday. So it was a really fun day on campus. And, at our little parent meeting that night, just was able to resonate with, like, I know exactly what some of your sons and daughters are feeling right now because I lived it myself a long time ago. But yeah, there's a lot of change, but it's a really special journey and a really great community here at Calvin to be back at.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited for you to be there and to be leading the way that you are. So that's good news for the students that are there. So the Calvin's known for its combination of academic, athletic, and Christian excellence, right? So how do you find recruits that are not only talented athletes, but also are going to be a good fit for the university? Because it is a unique place.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It has a unique feel, I would say, but I think we just try to emphasize how intentional we try to be with all three of those elements. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of programs out there, and I've been at a fair share of schools before. I was at Calvin, gaining great experience. Loved everywhere I was, but yeah, nothing quite felt like home like Calvin does, where we really try to be intentional about that faith journey. Our team priorities, I borrowed from my husband, who borrowed from someone else. We try to emphasize right now our faith, family, academics, and athletics in that order. So just the idea of having such a strong foundation before all the athletic stuff and before the running success, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself outside of practice. Yeah, outside of running too, your mental health, right? And just so many more important things that are going on in these athletes' worlds right now, often than running. But their faith journey is a huge part of that. Their own family, keeping in touch with their own family, we really try to encourage, but also that priority of seeing the team as sort of a second family and community. So that culture is so important to us. And, we really want to make sure that things are going in a positive direction. We can always be making improvements just with how we, are interacting with each other and communicating, and just having strong leadership across the team to make sure that we're accomplishing the goals, the results that we set out to achieve, but also the, relational aspects as well, and that everybody's just growing.
So, question for you here, right? We're talking about the department and how that is a unique place, right? One of the things, just doing some research here, that I found that I thought was really interesting, is this idea that you can fearlessly pursue excellence, right? That's something that's all over the place up there now in both sports and faith at Calvin. So how does a student athlete do that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard, right? There's days where you are in the middle of a season and just grinding. You got tests and projects and big exams coming up, and then you're expected to run a big workout that day or have a big lift and then have a big meet coming up. Yeah, and we're expected to be good as a program. There's a lot of pride that comes with being a Calvin Knight, but there's also high expectations, because we have such a strong championship culture and championship history with 6 national titles, 4 on the men's side, 2 on the women's side, a very long-standing MIAA conference streak on the men's side, a new one starting on the women's side right now, a bunch of regional titles, All-Americans, individual national championships, on, right? Where it's almost a little bit daunting at times, but yeah, just again, going back to just trying to keep it all in perspective on, okay, what really matters here? We want to be, a shining light for our faith, for the Lord, and just for bringing him glory through our successes, number one. And that's something that can be hard to, really live out on a day-to-day basis. So that's why, it's just so important for us as a community to be, re-emphasizing that every single day. We pray at the start of each practice. We pray at meets, but I think more importantly, just in how we interact as a community and as a team with different events that we put on, I just, have always felt like the people here just are really intentional and just try to make the most of their 4 years here. We're not just kind of glossing, just walking through, just trying to make it, just survive. We're trying to thrive throughout those 4 years.
So How do you manage those high expectations that your incoming recruits have, given the history of winning those national championships and MIAA wins?
Yeah, so I've kind of started a kind of a new mantra over the last year or two. One of my upper class guys who came in, I coach it. Well, he technically had 6 years here at Calvin because of COVID and all that sort of stuff. But he kind of challenged me to, come up with maybe an updated vision, an updated plan of things. And I think from that stemmed my idea of 4 Ps, each P meaning the people, the process, the parallels, and the past. So that's kind of what I am planning to share more and more with our team this preseason here, just about, yeah, like why would you come to Calvin considering everything you know about Calvin and who you are as a person right now. We're not going to be the right fit for everybody, right? Like we know that, and we don't want to be in that aspect because we want to really meet people where they are, but we're not going to, bend over backwards to make sure that, they're getting the experience that they want. It's like, no, we need to be authentic in what we believe is the best path for your journey here as a student athlete. But yeah, so the people, number one, just emphasizing the relationships on the team again and with the coaches and having good communication, proper communication, right? A little bit of life skills at times, right? Of following through. If I send an email out, right? Like, are we reading that email? Are we doing our paperwork? Or just that kind of stuff. And the team and the culture piece in there as well with the people. And then the process is that next point of just how, like, yeah, we have a strong history, but it's not without tons and tons of hard work and that daily investment in what you're doing. So as a Calvin Knight, you learn to love the process. If you don't like the process with cross country and track, like this is too hard of a sport for you to just show up and expect to be good, right? Like you have to put in the work at the college level. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to you, right? The NCAA across all divisions has gotten so good and so competitive that like, yeah, you better like working hard and doing the little things, because we're not a school that's usually going to get the state championship athletes, the big name recruits and that sort of thing, and that's okay because Calvin's known for developing a lot of athletes from the ground up, from a small Christian school. Like, I gotta say, Sophie Bull from Denver Christian, right? She was, barely broke 19 minutes as a 5K runner in high school and soccer player. And now her PR is 16:46 in the 5K. And she's a national champion in the steeplechase coming off of this spring. So it's like, yeah, we have people develop and yeah, we want to continue to see that growth, but it's because of her buying into the process. And we have so many other people from a long time ago and more recently who have continued to plug away and put a lot of work in with their teammates, with this community atmosphere into having things click in a really fun way when it comes to race day. And then the parallels, I'm kind of mimicking the faith theme there, but the parallels between how hard this sport is and this journey of life and this journey of faith, right? And there's so many different parallels in scripture from the Bible that we can connect back to running. There's so much imagery there that it's so easy to be able to connect that on a regular basis. I wouldn't say we're pretty real. We're pretty laid back, it's not like we don't get preachy or anything like that. Yeah, it's all about what the student athletes want to pursue in their faith journey here. But yeah, those parallels are really important just for life skills and for learning how to be a well-functioning adult in society and hopefully have a great career path and, just building up for everything that's ahead after graduation as well. And then that fourth piece is just honoring the past, but tying it in with the present as well. So yeah, we have a great tradition, great history. We have Hall of Fame coaches. We have a huge All-American wall downstairs. Yeah, and there have been some really impressive teams here, and yeah, more importantly, just great memories that so many alums are coming back and telling about their stories, which is really special and unique. And it's really impactful for the current athletes too to hear about some of those stories as well.
I love that. I think that's going to be a huge success with your group. They're gonna cling to that for sure. So, at the risk of sounding redundant, I mean, I think ultimately You've got coaches that are still on staff from the time when you were an athlete, when I was an athlete. What is it that keeps those folks that are alumni that are still engaged coming back year after year?
Yeah, so 4 out of my 5 assistant coaches in cross country are alums. And I think for each of them, it's probably a slightly different reason. But I think, at the top of the list is that they love Calvin, right? They loved what their experience meant to them. They have been able to connect really well with student athletes. For Rick Oddie, he's been coaching for 30 something years, I think. He's just really good at seeming to be in multiple places at once, connecting with every single person at practice, being really positive, and yeah, just having a positive impact. So those relational aspects, I think that those coaches bring to practice every single day are really important and really big, especially because I'm actually more of an introvert. It may not seem like it, but I really am. So sometimes by practice time, I don't feel like I'm firing on all cylinders, especially if I had a lot of meetings or was talking a lot during the day. So the ability to have, my assistant coaches sort of step in and help me get fired up, and then just seeing the athletes at 4 o'clock every day, they're all, coming off of a busy day of classes. Usually they got different stresses and things going on. So we like to say that 4 o'clock is the best time of the day, just getting to see each other and de-stress a little bit, but also it's time to train, time to, switch it up from the grind we were in the school day. And now it's all right. Now we're working hard with this whole running thing.
So, as a student athlete yourself who kind of wavered back and forth and thought, okay, maybe I could do D1, maybe I could do D3, and ultimately I landed at the Division 3 level, what's the most common misconception that people have about that D3 student athlete?
That I would say hands down that we're just D3, right? That we're not competitive. You only go there if you want to just have fun, or still be a part of a team and have that rah rah mentality, right? It's I don't think, especially now in Division 3, I mean, over the last 10 to 15 years, everything's just taken off. You look at what it takes to make a national meet on the track in any event, but I mean distance races specifically. I mean, it's insane. There's the top of each division is, the top of Division 3 is extremely competitive with Division 2 and even Division 1 athletes, right? You're just slicing and dicing it a little bit different ways, depending on who's coming to the big meets and the places that everybody goes to try to qualify and run fast, in cross country, it's harder and harder to make a national meet, the conference level. I already alluded to, but schools are just getting more well-rounded and putting a lot more resources into their athletic departments. So I think we are a school that has probably been leading that charge. We went through a huge upgrade back when I was a junior in college. We've got the whole field house updated. So, we have the largest arena in all of Division 3 for basketball and volleyball. We have an immaculate pool, and our indoor track was a part of that huge upgrade as well, and huge facelift. But in the last couple of years, we've added our own track and field complex. We've updated our cross country course. We have a brand new, probably most relevant, we have a brand new football team just in the last 3 years here, and a brand new stadium in the works. Has the field all down. Our team's been practicing there, which has been really exciting, and a brand new soccer stadium that's the nicest in the country. So it's we have D1 level facilities, and so it really shows that there's a lot of investment and care that's being put towards Calvin athletics, right? And that's really fun to see. And we need those kinds of improvements to be able to remain competitive and just to be the best program and be able to provide a great experience for the student athletes and not have to practice with a lot of different teams and a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes. Just to have that focused time is important.
So you referenced that you guys added football last year. What impact have not just football, but I think you guys added women's acrobatics and tumbling too? Is that right? So what impact have those programs had on the overall athletic department and the feel that you guys get on a daily basis there?
Yeah. It's been really exciting, honestly. We've had, there's a lot of talk about football, right? And, that is the largest roster team. A lot more resources get put into that program, just because people show up for those games. Like, it's just a different feel. When they started the season last fall, I think we had 4,000 fans. Maybe more. And it was over at a nearby high school. And that, like that first season was over there. And just that feeling of the first ever Calvin football game was absolutely insane. And yeah, now we're going to be having those games on campus this year. So, Saturdays in the fall, we still have, and we're still going to continue to have, big cross country meets, big soccer games, rivalry games, but there's just a different feel on campus when it's a home football game Saturday. And I think, from my grad school experience, I went to Bowling Green. So I got a taste of what, Saturday college football felt like, but, we're kind of getting a taste of that here at Calvin now, and it's really neat. I think the athletes across almost every sport are really excited about it, and just the entire campus community too. So yeah, there's never going to be 100% buy-in to big changes like that, especially when Calvin has had a long tradition of not having football, but amongst students and everybody here right on campus, I think things have been generally really positive. And women's acro and tumbling, and then men's volleyball as well was added. So it's been fun to see the department expand, have additional coaches in the department to get to know and welcome. We've had a total upgrade to our weight room. So things that are helping the entire department because of those additions has been really neat to see. We've got some sponsorships. So we're getting Pietro's tonight for team dinner. Yeah, a local Italian place, like similar to Olive Garden, but definitely a little more of a step up. We've got a great partnership with them now that wouldn't have happened without some of the work behind the scenes with adding programs like we are.
Great to see that.
Yeah.
So you referenced there are new facilities for, the athletic side of things. Are there any new things going on the academic side at Calvin?
Yeah, there's always been a few changes each year. So since becoming a university, I kind of laugh when, people still say around here Calvin College. And I know it's just like built in, like that's what they grew up with and that kind of thing. But I kind of, get mad, or I'm like, come on, it's been 6 years now. Like 2019 is when we changed from Calvin College to Calvin University. But one of the big reasons Calvin did that, I know, was to explore ramping up the graduate programs that we have. So those have gone great. I think it's been really cool to kind of see those, kind of take off. A lot of different programs have been added. I think we just added social work as a master's. We've had a really strong MBA and a master's of education. I mean, we've had a couple programs even earlier than that, but have continued to ramp those up. And then, we still have the, really important and large majors in the undergraduate side. There's a huge focus still on undergraduate education, but we see a lot of the engineering students that are also student athletes, right? I have about 10 of them on my men's cross country team and 3 women as well. The health science majors have been doing great. Yeah, so people are choosing hard majors here too. It's not just, you come here to, take the easiest classes. Not at all what it means to have a Calvin education, and no matter what major you pursue.
I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a bit about the recruiting side of things a little bit more, since the majority of our audience, I believe, is going to be parents and then high school student athletes. So maybe one thing that you wish that every high school student athlete knew before they started the college recruiting process. What's that?
I would say that you don't have to pay a whole lot of money to someone else per se, especially like a bigger name type of recruiting service or something like that. I would say like really just reaching out to coaches directly can go a really long way, and just to start to build those relationships in different ways other than like a massive search engine and trying to explore every single possible school. I think having someone in your court is great. So like your company off and running here seems to be connecting really well, doing things the right way. But sometimes there's just too much information out there, and you just got to dive in and start making your own connections and seeing what's a fit for you, as opposed to what someone else might tell you is what you should do. right?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I tell our student athletes all the time is that like there is no one right fit. There's many schools out there that are going to meet your needs, but you've got to figure out how to weed through all those, and that discovery process is a huge piece of it. So, for Calvin specifically, what's the typical recruiting timeline look like for those student athletes? And then are there
Sure.
deadlines that they need to be aware of?
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, it does vary to some extent just when we want recruits to commit by. I mean, the earlier the better, of course. But a lot of times you'll need more questions answered, right? We want to make sure that you have your at least one visit, even two or three. Some people, feel more comfortable coming back, especially if they're more local and can't spend a lot of time on campus right away. Yeah, coming back during the school year can be really important. But our application opens up August 1st, going into senior year. It's free until November 1st. You can always apply through the Common App, which is nice. One thing that sometimes makes some students wait a bit on their decision is a named scholarship program that we have. So all funded through donors and alumni. There's a lot of individual scholarships that get awarded to approximately 400 incoming freshmen each year. So that can definitely help out, students that are still kind of weighing their options. But that application opens December 1st and closes at the end of January. So then financial aid timelines get pushed back a little bit because of that. So if that's going to be a major component for you in your decision, then sometimes we have student athletes who are waiting till February, March, even April. But as a program, we really try to wrap up our recruiting class for the upcoming year by March, ideally early March. Typically as well, women tend to decide a little earlier than men. You just see that just based on sport, and I don't know if it's organization or pressure they feel or something like that. I know I was not like that at all. I decided April 30th of my senior year, right? But yeah, takes a lot of pressure off when you have all the information you need, are able to talk with coaches, the admissions counselors, meet the team. Those are just some obvious ones to me. But we love to set up meetings with professors if it makes sense in everybody's schedule, and really just make sure we're giving you a very clear overview of what it's like to be a student athlete here. We want to make sure you see our facilities and can kind of understand what our expectations are as a program. But yeah, it's not just one part of the experience. The athlete part of it is just one part of what makes a Calvin experience what it is. So want to make sure you can see the student side, the athlete side, and everything in between.
I know for me it was getting on campus and getting to spend time in the dorms and with the team and things like that really made my decision that much easier in the end. So what's the best way for a student athlete to get a hold of you? Do you prefer somebody to reach out through email, phone call, show up at your office and knock on your door? What's the preferred way?
Email is great. I think that especially if you're far away or, you don't live right next to campus and could just stop by. Yeah, email is a great way. Yeah, sometimes I get a little bogged down with emails, but I, try to stay on top of them. Yeah, and then, if I see your introductory email, it's great to see the high school, your athletic.net or MileSplit profile. Just an easy link there to be like, okay, great, you meet our recruiting standards athletically. Now let's see what other sorts of components you may be a good fit for Calvin with. And yeah, most of the time it's like, yeah, let's set up a phone call. And I may even, if I get your email and get excited right away, I'm sending you a text, and hey, let's chat. So yeah, love when recruits reach out. We also, we send out some letters. We try to get out to high school meets. There's a range of different ways we try to, just gain interest and yes, find out if high schoolers are a good fit for us.
You know when they're the right fit.
A lot of times when they're on campus and you can just tell. I mean, they are interacting, having fun with the team. They feel comfortable. They're excited. I mean, for me, just being a part of our team, like we want to make sure that you're going to be a good fit for Calvin as a student, as an athlete, and as a person, and as a teammate, right? Yeah, like we certainly emphasize those faith components here, but like I said earlier, we don't push anything on anyone, and we recognize that everyone's on a different journey. So even if you don't call yourself a Christian or have doubts right now or whatever it is, that doesn't mean that you're not a Calvin fit. It just means that hey, we still probably want you to be a part of our team and a part of our community, and we're going to love you no matter what. So yeah, it could certainly be a good fit for a lot of different student athletes, I think.
How much do you rely on your current student athletes to help you in that vetting process for students that are looking at the school? Do you have conversations with them, pick their brain on whether or not a kid's the right fit?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes when we have recruits on campus during the day, I'm like, hey, how did that go with your senior high school recruit who was just here? What do you think? Do you think they'd be a good fit? Yeah, almost, most of the time they say, yeah. And then other times they're like, well, there were a couple things that came up, but like, I think it'll be fine. So it's unusual that we would have someone make it all the way to a campus visit, be admitted, and and then not offer them a roster spot, right? I wouldn't say it never happens, but yeah, it's one of those things where we try to make it as mutual and as clear of a process as possible too. But yeah,
Do you guys
there's a
have
lot of
roster
good
limits?
options. Okay. What's that?
Do you guys have roster limits right now?
We don't. It is kind of a complicated time right now in the NCAA,
Yeah.
with the limits for D1s. It seems like that's going to be trickling down a bit to D2. My hope is that we don't actually have to limit our rosters, massively. I think that the big emphasis is that we just want to make sure that, if we're having you as a college athlete, that you're able to represent well, on the course and on the track like a college athlete, from a performance standpoint, but more importantly from a character standpoint, and then just on our side of things, just being able to manage the size of the team that we have. So right now in cross country, I'm the only full-time coach, but we have Adam Halderson, who's our head track and field coach. And then we have Jacob Graham, who's our full-time assistant track and field coach as well. So just with the numbers, I mean, they've been doing an awesome job building up, the non-distance event groups. And so they need a lot of support. But yeah, as long as it's manageable, we want to make sure that those students can have a Calvin experience, as long as it makes sense with, what our recruiting standards are tangibly. And then, obviously the more soft skill type stuff that comes into play. But yeah, we love talking to people, forming connections, and it's all part of the journey. Just so, I mean, yeah, the college search is fun. So I would just encourage recruits to enjoy the visits that they go on and the conversations they have with coaches, because it's kind of like getting you set up for interviews that you'll have down the road.
So can you share maybe a success story of an athlete who maybe came in and wasn't like a top recruit, but really thrived in the program? I know there are some of those out there. I've seen it myself. So
Yeah, I got to think about which one. So let's see. We just had a big senior class graduate. Trying to think of a guy who's a good example. So yeah, someone who I got to coach for 3 years was Jacob Buitt. He's from Unity Christian. He has his teammate is Caleb Gaffner, who's the third sibling in the family. So I guess both of them actually, they were both high school competitive athletes in high school. They ran low 16s for the 5K, like right around 16:20, give or take a few seconds in there. So nothing like super fast. Similar with the track, kind of with what our recruiting standards are now, kind of that like depth level, like, okay, that's someone who will make our team, and there's a ton of potential there if we put the right training ingredients together. Yep. Right? And community and, all the layers of what college running can look like at different places. Well, these guys came in and, Caleb was, a pretty key guy right off the bat. And this was before I started coaching either of them. So freshman and sophomore year, whereas Jacob was further back in the pack, but, was working hard, doing all the things he was supposed to be doing. Yeah, becoming a better student, better athlete, growing in his faith, all those sorts of things. And yeah, these two guys were high school teammates as well as college teammates. So it was really fun to watch the progression for them. I mean, I started coaching them when they were juniors on the team. They both actually had a extra season of eligibility because of COVID that they used just this past fall in cross country. And these two guys ended up being our fourth and fifth guys at our conference championships and in many other meets throughout, the last couple years. But they were our fourth and fifth guys at our conference championship last fall, where we beat Hope by 1 point. I mean, it was just, it's like you need guys like that maybe aren't going to be superstars, in any one team, right? But they're going to be big team guys. So for them to adapt, again, they had to adapt to a ton of change, from my style, coming from Deemer, who was here for 37 years, 6 years, I think. Yeah, and just a lot of changes throughout the cross country and track program. But these guys adapted, overcame injuries. Caleb Gaffner had a surgery that took him out for a year. I mean, so they had a lot of ups and downs, but really had a huge senior year and a fifth year that had a huge impact on the program. So really cool to see that growth. And again, it's not about the running, right? Like
Right.
That's not what it's about. But what these guys brought to the team each and every day was something that, it was just a huge element for them to carry on and show their teammates how to do it. And I think guys like that and many other guys as well. I don't want any guys who are listening to this be like, oh, what about me? But just had such a positive impact on their teammates who now are potentially stepping into those same kind of shoes this year. And it's like, hey, we need people who are going to step up. Make a jump. Doesn't matter what you ran in high school. It doesn't matter, what you ran last year at this time or, all that kind of stuff. Just what are you going to bring on the day and who wants it more, right? And I think we saw on a lot of big opportunity days, especially middle of the season, late season, those two guys step up when we needed it the most. That's what gets me here, when in the middle of winter, when when it's late at night, and it's a fun journey working with athletes like that.
All right, so one last question for you. What's the single most important piece of advice that you'd give a high school student athlete who's considering Calvin?
I would encourage you to ask the hard questions. Don't just ask the simple, fluffy stuff. I mean, like, oh, how many people on your team? How many meets are there? Even, further than what's your team culture like? I mean, I love talking about our team culture, but asking hard questions, like anything really. What are your expectations for this year? Oh, I noticed you graduated all these seniors. What do you think what do you think the future of the team's going to look like? I think that's a good exercise for anyone. If you're curious about something, like, just ask. One thing I kind of get asked often is like, oh, how do you feel about coaching men? I'm like, well, I really like coaching men. I've always coached men. I don't know anything different. So I like coaching women too. I like coaching both genders, right? So there's a different dynamic there, of course. But I think there's plenty of athletes that want to be coached at the college level. And I think there's so much potential with everybody for just finding the right school for them.
Nicole, thank you so much for your time today. I wish you and the team nothing but success this coming season. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. Our guest again has been Nicole Kramer from Calvin University Cross Country. And I hope you'll join us again next time for the next edition of the Coach's Corner podcast. So long, everybody. Nicole, thanks again.
Thank you. Go Knights.